Hey everybody, welcome to our short stories unit, lesson 3. Here in lesson 3, we have another short story that you'll be looking at. The short story is called The Fall of a City. It's by Alden Nolan, a very famous Canadian writer. I really like this story. It has a number of different strong elements of the short story we can pull out. Pay special attention to the setting and the theme of today's story. We are going to be working with all the elements of the short story, but especially theme is a focus today. Today, you're going to get your very first marked assignment. It is an oral presentation where you can have the option of coming in to do a presentation or sending a video of yourself doing the presentation, as well as represents your first marked assignment. Okay, so let's get into the lesson, and we'll see what you're doing today. So what you're going to do is, so here we have our learning goal and success criteria for this unit is, remember, we need to have, you're supposed to have read your Death of a Salesman drama up to page 35. We kind of divided it into 4 sections. Today is the first section. I mean, there's no mark for being here, but I just a suggestion of where you should be at this point. If you've read further than that, great. Just make sure that you're moving along, you're taking notes, and you're really interacting with the reading. You're going to read The Fall of a City and then identify the 6 elements of a short story. Your successful criteria for today are, you'll know if you're up to task, if you've read page 35, up to page 35 in Death of a Salesman, you've done all the questions for Fall of a City, and you've started working on your presentation. Little blurb here about theme. I know I've talked a lot about theme, but it's probably the most important element of a short story for this course, especially because everything that we do in this course, we're going to be talking specifically about theme. It's kind of the main point of English, is be able to understand what an author is trying to say in their writing, especially about the world, what kind of message or lesson they're trying to teach us, and take that message or lesson and in some way put it into our own lives and state how we are related in some way to the message that's being said. And if it's not our lives, to the world in general. Some more information here about annotating. Annotating meaning the process of kind of writing in the margins or interacting with the reading you're doing, and highlighting. We did that through the Google Read and Write process, but there is a tool right in your Google Docs as well that has a little more diverse in terms of what you can do with it. So I've included a video down here that actually explains the highlighting and annotating tools and tasks, and how I think you should be interacting with the text that you're reading all the time. Your homework for today is going to be to read the short story The Fall of a City. Let's see, the Google Doc is here. Read it, and like I said, please use your highlighter to highlight, etc. Pull out information. Use the annotated comments here on the side as you're reading the story, as you're writing your questions, so you can go back and kind of make reference to these annotated comments as you go through. It's going to help direct your question answering. Then once you're done the story, click here, and click here. This Google Doc has the questions. And again, we always remember that when answering questions, we want to do a 3-step process. Answer the question, provide a quote from the story that's properly cited, okay, both with embedded citations, and then you'll have to do a works cited at the end with just the one citation, the short story. But certainly any quotes have to have an embedded citation with them, and then you're going to explain why you chose that quote, what that quote shows, how that quote actually proves your answer. So it's a 3-step process. Answer the question, provide the quote, explain how the quote proves your answer. You should do that for each one of these. You don't get any marks per se. This is all formative. This is practice, but practice pays off in your presentation, your written assignment, and your test for this unit that we're going to happen in the next few days. So go ahead. You can, put your answers right on this Google document and then submit it to the Dropbox here. Now the big one, the short stories theme presentation. So, oral communication is a strand that the government says we have to take a look at. So we have to do some presenting. Kind of tough if we're doing this online. You're more than welcome to come in and do the presentation in person. But we have a couple other ways in which we can kind of get around that if you can't come in, or you're not interested in doing it face to face. So let's talk about the assignment first, and then we will get into the ways in which you're going to do it. This again goes in your oral communication mark and is worth 5% of your final mark. Not a lot individually, but they all kind of add up. So go ahead and click on this Google Doc. It will take you here. This is outlining the presentation. So what you're going to do is you're going to choose a short story. It could be any one of the three that we've done. So you could choose Gentleman, Your Verdict, The Fall of a City, or Lather and Nothing Else. Or if there's another story that you know of that you've read and that you liked, whether it be in high school, you've read with your kids, read with somebody else, read just for pleasure, you are by all means welcome to use that. Just make sure that when you're doing your presentation, you let me know in your works cited where that story came from, certainly. So what you're going to do is basically there's going to be two things that you're going to present. So you're going to have a video or be in front of me talking about the answers to these questions. You're not submitting anything in writing here. This is oral. So we're having you actually talk about it. So you're going to go through what is the theme of the story. You're going to talk about what you feel the theme of the story is. What is the lesson or message that whatever author you're choosing is trying to portray? What is the author trying to say about the world of the story? There's two questions there, so both those questions have to be answered. They're different questions, so they should have different answers, and each one has to have a couple quotes to back up what you're saying. Right? If you don't have any quotes, it's very difficult for me to give you a very good mark. The expectation is that you prove everything that you say. So I'm going to have to say you have to have a number of quotes for each one. The more proof you use, the better your mark's going to be within reason. I don't need 5 or 6 quotes, but at least 1 or 2 quotes per section I think would be fine. The second piece you're going to answer is how does this theme relate to your world or the greater world in general? So you're going to have to come up with, take a look at this theme and how it relates to your world, the world, relate it to the outside world in some way. So in addition to explaining and proving the theme, you'll be asked to bring a more creative element. So you do have to have a creative element. This creative element is going to be, I give you some suggestions here. It could be a poem, a picture, a drawing, a dramatic monologue, a song. So what you're going to do is you're going to bring in something else that from outside and that in a creative way is able to had the same theme. So you have to basically, you find a poem that has the same theme as the short story. You're going to give an example of the poem, and you're going to talk about how the theme occurs in that poem and how it also occurs in the short story that we're doing. So you're showing me you can take that poem, the theme in that poem, out of the poem and into the short story that we're doing. You don't have to do all of these. You don't have to do any of them. These are just examples. So in some way creative. It can be a poem that you find on the internet, or it can be a poem that you make up, that you write yourself. In whatever creative you choose to use, it needs to in some way highlight what the author is saying about the world through the theme of the story. You need to explain in detail how your creative is associated with the theme of the story and use quotes and proof to back it up. That's what we always do. You can choose to present this in person, so you can come in and do it in person. You can do it by video chat, so it can be almost like a Skype situation, or Loom or Zoom is what we use here at Loyola. Through Screencastify. I'm going to put another video explaining how to use Screencastify. I think it's very effective. I'm using recording this on Screencastify right now, or you can literally videotape yourself on your phone or video camera and just upload it to the site. And again, in the next video I post on this, I will explain how to do that. So that's what we're doing today. Good luck, and I hope you have fun with it.